Well, here we are, another Wednesday. And tonight, this week got a little away from me, but tonight I will be doing one of my brand new sketch covers. I got a big stack of them from my friends over at Rubber Chicken Comics, and I'll show these off. I also got a big stack of like 50-cent comics, all kinds of fun reads, old books, all kinds of stuff. Ostrander, some Christar, the Crystal Warrior, a couple of old Charltons. It's a great store. If you ever in that part of Massachusetts, I highly recommend seeing Jay and Josh and everybody there. And they're also a publisher. This is their latest publication, Crinkle the Dark Saint Returns, and obviously it's a parody of The Dark Knight. And it's with Santa Claus. So anybody who knows me knows I love Christmas comics, and this is by their creative team that's doing Werewolf with a Chainsaw. And I just think it's so cool that they put it out and are putting out more and more books. And then this is the big stack of sketch covers I got. I got a Red Sonja. I got 2 of these Ninja Turtle crossover books. Spider Woman. Another one of those. Got a couple of Conans, which is cool. Josie and the Pussycats. I'd never seen one of them. I'd never gotten an Archie sketch cover, so I figured I'd give that a shot. Micronauts, Pantha, the 70s, Storm. This one was cool. Dune. I'm a big fan of the books. Vengeance of Vampirella, and then I've got a couple of Power Rangers, since I did that one Power Ranger cover. People always ask me for those. And anytime, and this is the truth, anytime I see anything Ninja Turtles, I have to generally pick it up. So I've done, a bunch of covers for that. But we're going to pick one of these out, and we're just going to have some fun tonight. This week, it's been tough. But I wanted to come on and say hi to everybody and do some drawing. What do we think? Should we do a Ninja Turtles? Yeah, Dune I'm going to save because I'm going to do a watercolor. I want to do the blue eyes and everything else just because I love the book and the what do you call the mouse shadow on the second moon. The solid blue one looks too dark to me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull enough. It's not a mid-tone, so it's like it is true blue. I think the green will pop fine. Here's the finished one from last. I did a little bit of cleanup on it. I mean, I would do one of the green ones if you want to. Should we do that? Should we do one of the green ones? I've got 2 of those. We'll do one of the green ones. Much as I, enjoy Red Sonja and Conan and stuff, we'll do one of these. This is just plain scratch paper. What I like to do is just do a quick gesture. I remember actually when I saw you the first time at the San Diego, when you were at the NEC booth, when you were working on some of the little sketch covers, I noticed that you did a little thumbnail on a backing board. And I think I actually kept it. I think I have your thumbnail from that. Let me turn on my other lamp. I think it's a little... There we go. And I joke with people that you can now see my studio window from space. I've been finishing drawings, but I just have not been able to post anything because they haven't been released yet. This is actually a pretty forgiving title treatment. Sometimes the title treatment comes like way down. Center. Try not to overthink it. Keep it really simple tonight. If we could somehow just knock out one sketch this evening, I'd be thrilled. Everybody knows, because I've said it 1,000 times, that Leo's my favorite turtle. So whenever I draw turtles of my own accord, I generally draw him. Now, I want to keep it. What else has been happening? I've been dealing with some more health stuff, so if I'm not as chatty as I usually am, I apologize. It's just a matter of getting very tired. I do have a variant cover that is available now. I posted a link and I put it in the description. That's for the very nice people over at Worthy Chaos, Carissa and the team there. They're very new to comics, and they're putting out their second book, I believe, or third book, and they're doing it. They're putting it out. It's on Kickstarter right now, and they are really nice people. So, and it's a cool book. It's I think the artist that's on it, the interior artist, is relatively new as well, and I think that I think it looks good. It's a professional looking book. There's some of those early book mistakes that we all make. But there's so much energy and there's so much fun and there's so much cool stuff going on that, like, you can't help but have some fun reading that book. And yeah, I'm excited for. They're looking to raise $1,000 to get their book printed and made, and if we could help, any of the folks could help them out, that would be a very big help. I've talked about it on the stream before. I think it's just so important that people who want to make books are able to make books, and printing and such has become so much cheaper in my lifetime compared to when I first started. Because when I first started, you used to have to raise enough money to print 1,000 comic books, or at least 500. Like you could occasionally find like a copy store that would charge you like $5 for a piece for short run comics. Or you'd have to print a whole bunch. And one of the things that I mentioned in my post about Rubber Chicken is that they're also a publisher. And some of my first start, like where I first started making comics, was actually a local store that made their own comic books. And I just think it's so cool that stores still do that. And of course, like NEC still from time to time publishes the Tick. And every store I've ever been to, there have been amazingly creative and talented people that want to make comics, that love comics, or that do make comics. And when a store steps up like that and really supports the artistic community by putting their money, their time, their effort on the line like that, it's just really special and exceptional. And it's not the norm. I always tell the story of like when I first started self-publishing comic books, it was calling every comic book store within driving distance, telling them what we were doing and making appointments to go show them the comics and stuff. And, some of those experiences were good, some of them were not so good. I had a store that I have no idea if it still exists, south of Boston, down towards uh, is it Braintree? I don't remember, but they told me to come in. I called. Desiree, good evening. The Zipatone search has been incredibly fruitful as of late. After 20 years of finding Bupkis, I'm now finding it twice, in the span of a couple of months. And it has been fruitful. And I'm hoping that whether it's Eli or one of my other guests that wants to come on the stream will discuss their use of screen tones and zipatones, and I'll do a pre-drawing, and then we'll do kind of a tutorial and some of the pitfalls of screen tones and some of the hard bits about it. Because I see people just putting like if you ever look at a modern comic that tries to do the quote-unquote retro look, they don't necessarily know what the dots are for or how they work. There's just like these dots on top of the digital colors that they threw down. And it's just kind of like a surface texture at that point. So, but if you look at like, the old Tomb of Dracula magazines or the Savage Sword of Conan, and you see there is a way to do it, and there's an appropriate way to do it. And I've been trying to learn, and I've watched some YouTube videos. I've read a lot about it over the years. Excuse me. And I'm excited to use it a lot, especially when this next batch shows up. And I am going to have scans, high-res scans available on my website of the screen sheets themselves. That way, people, if they want to use them digitally, they will be able to use scans from actual sheets instead of, digital approximations. And I'm sorry if I have missed any messages as of late. I've just been dealing with a lot. Um, I think I'm caught up. If I'm not, just send me another one. I think you used some of it on the early, whether it was Laughter of the Damned or some of the early Arsenic Lullaby. Or am I misremembering? Because I don't know. Next week, hopefully, it's a little bit more like a normal week, and I'm talking to Douglas there, my pal, and one of our regular commenters. That we're lucky to get his insight and have him on the stream, and he can show us some of his live drawing. Or if he wants to just, verbally berate me while I'm drawing, I guess we could do that too. Hey Jay. Yes, when I put the GIF of Mr. Burns, uh, full of rage and island beats on your post about Ailstorm. Jay, you and I, when you're on, we can't have a topic. I don't think. I think it has to be a pretty free form show. Like we'll both have to watch the stream that we did beforehand and do a sequel. We'll do a direct sequel. Either that, or we'll do an unofficial sequel to a beloved '80s action comedy. Desiree, he can be Gordon Ramsay and call you a donkey while you say yes, chef. that, I think that I think Douglas would be on board. I was once asked why, if I draw the Ninja Turtles for fun, and honestly, I really don't. I used to when I was a kid. Um, I pretty much just draw them for other people at this point. I much prefer when I'm drawing for myself to draw my own stuff. Brian, that's not a bad idea. Neither of us would draw them looking anything like The Simpsons. Like it would look vaguely like you'd be able to tell who the characters are, but like I'm sure if Bongo Comics still existed, they would send us like cease and desist letters or something. But that's not a bad idea. Douglas, draw for fun. What's that? I still really love drawing. I do. Call me crazy, but hey. Little Marge, little Lisa, and the rest. And I liked how when he said "and the rest," the TV, the dog, the cat, and the baby were all in the rest. Ah, new pills today, so we'll see if those do the job this time. Uh, but I really do love drawing. I actually prefer painting for fun, but it's so time intensive and labor. Like it takes so damn long that I just don't have the honestly just I don't ever get the opportunity to spend that time. So, but when I draw, I like to draw goofy stuff. Like I've actually been drawing really cartoony stuff lately, and it's been dripping into my other work, which has been nice because it's been giving this nice life to it, a little more exaggeration, a little more sense of fun. If one hip's over here, the leg's coming out like that. And the other hip's over here, so this leg should be like that. And then they have their goofy front shell flap. Hey, Brian. Thanks for popping in. It's really good to talk to everybody. I'm very lucky that you guys come and see me every week or close to every week. I did finally get my hair cut, so I could show my face on screen at some point. People say I should do that more. But in drawing more of the goofy stuff, it has gotten me into the undersea hero mindset, and that's really important because like whenever you're doing like or at least for me, if I'm doing a lot of dark, serious stuff, it's hard for me to be like I always find that like trying to be funny or like more like I said exaggerated in like facial features and expressions and stuff, I have to like practice those muscles a little bit before I really feel like I'm doing any good. It's hard for me to switch back and forth, is what I'm trying to say. That's a better way of saying what I just tripped over, the whole word salad that you just got. Yes, it's and this is a typical sketch that I would do at a convention or whatever. I wouldn't say that this is like a particularly detailed drawing as of yet, but I'm having fun with it. It's really the turtles when I talk about them as far as like the way that I draw them, they're very geometric. There's a lot of big boxy shapes. The best example I can think of is the animated adventures version. If you're ever looking for like if anyone for my artist friends, if anyone ever asks you to draw Ninja Turtles and like you're having trouble breaking down the forms, that one from the early 2000s had the best simplification and abstraction of the forms that I've ever encountered. Like I have not seen a better um, packaging in a way, and it was a total redesign, like from the ground up. And it was done by a couple of different artists, and they just did such a tremendous job. Instead of just telling them no. Look, it's my one bit of advice because honestly, the original animated ones from when I was a kid were not simplified well. If you look at the shapes and the forms from a graphical standpoint, I don't think that they necessarily translate well, especially to different styles. Like they fit the Rankin Bass look, but outside of that, it's tough. This is a Kuretake pocket pen. You can order them from Jet Pens. They're really nice. They have a nice flex in the tip, so you can get some line variation. If you see that, that's the ultra fine. And then this is the fine. And it works really well for sketches and stuff. And it's a really nice dark ink. It's pigment. It's supposedly not gonna fade over time, but we'll see. And Brian, I owe you an email. I'm always looking for, one of the struggles of being a cartoonist is that like part of the job is to translate the stuff into a graphical sense, like a visual graphical sense. And when I'm designing characters, I will do tons and tons of sketches. And it will take me a very long time to be happy with a character design sometimes. The one thing I will say that these pens do really well that, in my opinion, even though I love them, work better than the Faber-Castell Pitt pens, is reinforcing line thickness. This is really good for if you have to go over it a second time or if you want to like build up your line thickness, Douglas. I know that you work in that manner sometimes instead of with a brush. I would recommend these over the Pitt pens and the microns for sure. Uh, it is. This is the ultra fine. It's as far as the pit equivalent, it's what is the FH? It's not the fine. It's the one that has like more of a what do you want to call it? Come on, brain. I can't remember. If this is able to get multiple thicknesses, and it can get pretty thin, and then it shows how thick it can get, all with the same pen. Anyway, I like them. I would recommend them for anyone who builds up a lot of line thickness. And also, if you notice, the lines are a little steadier for me, and I don't know why that is. I wish my hand was steady, but I don't have a steady hand. Never have, really. I'm kind of like the Waco Kid from, if anybody gets that reference from Blazing Saddles, when he's like, holds up his hand and the sheriff's like, steady as a rock. He's like, but I shoot with this hand. Oh, okay. That makes sense, Douglas. That if you're tired of doing them with a brush, like I gave up on my ruling brush lines a long time ago. I really did. I shouldn't have, but I did. And that was when I really was like using inking as a extension of drawing instead of a separate discipline. It is a great scene, yeah. Although I will say on these color sketch covers that they smudge real easy. Gotta go in and pull out my lines again. I do throw in a little bit of like the '80s cartoon look to them, just by virtue of having that in my brain for so many years, for too many years. I hate the fact that I can remember the stupid theme songs of shows like that, and I can't remember like stuff that's important that I'm supposed to remember. It's so annoying. Can I sing the entire Cocoa Wheat song? Yes, yes. Do I know when my next doctor's appointment is? No. I really have to set alarms on my phone for things like that. I hate how well those stupid jingles work. I'm supposed to be smart. But my weakness, I guess, is snappy, and if there's a pun involved, I'll remember it for 60 years. Cocoa Wheats, they were like the knockoff version of like what were they? Cocoa Pebbles or whatever. It was like a chocolate cereal, and the commercials were on ad nauseum during like Mr. Peabody and Sherman and like the old people cartoons that I used to watch. It's Cocoa Wheats. Cocoa Wheats can't be beat. It's a creamy hot cereal. It's a cocoa treat. Big and strong, have lots of fun. Eat Cocoa Wheats, everyone. Why do I know that? I shouldn't know that. But here we are. I can recite the Cocoa Wheats ad. I cannot tell you. So many far more important things that I should know. See, Douglas, I can't watch that. No. If I were to watch that, I would have like horrible some terribly repressed memory would come back. It would be triggered by one of those old commercials. I'm sure of it. It wouldn't be the show. I'm sure I'd be sitting there humming along to whatever the heck it is, the Alf cartoon or whatever's playing from the '80s, and it'll be one of those commercials, and then like the jingle will kick in, and then my brain will just explode. I was watching on, and it was again on YouTube, like you said, old baseball games, and they had full games with the commercials. And why am I watching, a Red Sox Indians game from 1997? In that case, it was actually kind of cool. I've actually found the TV broadcasts of some games I attended, like I was in the stands, and it was cool to relive those. I found three actually on YouTube of. See, it's that smudging. So I had to go back in. Instead of Robin Yount in the '90s looking like an old punk kid. I'm not sure if I. I'm not sure if I saw Robin Yount play in person. I might have. I've seen a couple of Brewers games over the years. Um, no offense, when I was a kid, they were a cheap ticket as an away team. But yeah, I got to watch on YouTube a game that I didn't remember attending because I was 5 years old. It was the Blue Jays and the Red Sox at Fenway Park in 1989, and they had the whole game on YouTube. I'm sure it's illegal or whatever, but I watched it. And I doubt there's the express written consent of Major League Baseball on that one. Oh, you never know. One of the things it's an interesting point, but one of the things that about old timey sports and baseball is the raw ability versus the training ability. If you were to just pick him up from that time and drop him in a game today, maybe I'd agree with you. But if he was, let's say, born, 100, however many years later, with the training and everything, like, I don't know. I do think that athletic ability, especially having played with some professional athletes on a competitive level, they're just different human beings. They really are. Things that are hard for, normal folk are just like a piece of cake for them. Yeah, if you're going that way, I might agree with you for that particular player. Now, I think there's plenty of players from prior eras that would do just fine in today's game. I really do. Like, if you're going to tell me that Willie Mays couldn't, go 3 for 4 against today's pitching, I would strongly disagree. Or players that had like the speed game, the small ball game. I think that they would have a distinct advantage with their hand-eye coordination and all that stuff. Doug, I feel like we should do a baseball comic. We should make a baseball comic. You, me, and like the 4 other comic book baseball fans that I know. I did have one funny exchange at Gem City. Is it the last time I was there, or the time before? I don't remember. But I was at breakfast and I was sitting with Paul Story. He's a writer and he has written stuff for DC, stuff all over the place. He's got Robin of Sherwood as his creator-owned book, and he had an artist sitting with him, and he was like, "Oh, do you know each other?" I was like, "No, no." And it was funny. He was the guy that did the Slider comics for the Cleveland Guardians now. Um, and at the time, I was doing the Wally the Green Monster comics for the Red Sox. So it was like, "Oh, you're the Slider guy. I'm the Wally guy." It was a very funny exchange. At least to us, it was. I imagine like the four of us that do the baseball comic would probably be the only people buying it. If you're in it, my old man will buy it. Yeah, Ron Mars actually is like one of the bigger baseball fans. He's a Mets fan, which they've long suffered. So Ryan, he sounds like a really smart, amazing guy. Oh, that's right. Ryan's a baseball fan. So there's another one. And Desiree watches the Dodgers. So I think we could print 10 or 12 and do okay. I'm kidding. Not about making the book. I would make a baseball comic for sure. I actually really like those. I don't know if you ever saw him, Doug, the Will Eisner ones. Will Eisner did a couple of baseball comics that were pretty sweet. Trying to remember the guy who did the graphic novel. Was it Sturm? James Sturm? I don't remember which it is, but he did what is it? Uh, the Golem at the Bat, about the Jewish baseball team, the Stars of David. It was a really really good graphic novel. Oh, there you go. See. You're 2 steps ahead of me. We just got to get them done before everyone's favorite teams are eliminated from the playoffs, right? Everyone's full of hope. There you can see what it looks like for ruling lines. We'll never do any sort of illustrations anymore without that require ruling lines without a beveled ruler. Yeah, maybe we could go into business with those guys that sell the bootleg T-shirts outside of Fenway. I think that could do it. Those guys make a killing. I looked them up. I saw them. I found that that was an amazing small piece of trivia, and I think Doug sent me a picture as well. Um, Maybe we actually will finish a drawing in one night. Would be really happy if we did that. That would be a really nice thing at the end of today. Something I would really appreciate. Yeah, no, if we can employ those guys with uh, the sign Raffy You Dopes T-shirts that they were slinging before they signed Devers on the Red Sox. I think that we could. I think we could talk. I think we could make some money. Actually, gonna grab the. I'm sorry if my hand keeps slipping down. It's I'm sitting down because my back was hurting. No, it's true. I completely agree with you, Doug. They will spend crazy money and they will get into their sports cosplay and go to all the expensive games. I'm reminded of the face painting episode of Seinfeld with the man who would go on to play the Tick for a while. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine actually about the sports card market during the pandemic. You know, it was just another thing that got like this giant bubble. People were bored at home, buying and inflating the costs of sports cards, I guess. Which I guess they've come back down to earth a bit. Yeah, Patrick Warburton. Yep. He was the crazed Devils fan that was dating Elaine. He was also the mechanic that Jerry ticked off. Yes, I did a panel with him at Rhode Island Comic Con, and he was really happy to talk about the tick. He was really quite quite happy to be on a tick panel with me, Bob, the Griffin Newman, and Jeff. We were all and it was a pretty full room, which was pretty great. I'm sure I've told what was Bob doing on that panel? He was the NEC rep, basically. George didn't want to do it, and they wanted to have someone there from the store. And so Bob was the de facto representative. I'm sorry, Jessica. I cannot support the Go Devils. Nope. I have forgiven Jeff for being a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. If he was a Flyers fan, we just wouldn't talk about it. We just would it would go unspoken. As Flyers fans, Gritty is a national treasure, but I cannot in my lifetime root for the Flyers, even though I will say a nice thing about Torts, who I think is a terrific coach. Did you ever get a chance to watch Ted 2, the movie about the talking? Patrick plays a guy dressed as the Tick at a Comic-Con, and he plays a huge jerk. Funny thing, I've never seen it, but I was at the Boston Comic-Con when they were going around trying to get artists to voluntarily show up and be extras, and not only be extras, but bring their comic convention setup to be filmed to maybe be in the movie. And I asked him, if there was, of course, I made the mistake of asking if there was any compensation or if there would be food or gas money or anything of, human nature, because they said it would take a full day. And so I passed, but my buddy Jay went. Jay was there. I don't know if you can see Jay in the movie, but he was at that thing, the fake comic convention that they set up in a Saudi warehouse for this movie. But yeah, it could have been fun. I don't know. It would have had to, at that time, I was working pretty far away from home. I had a long commute and I had very little time off, even still at that time. So I was hoping that there would be something. And I was put off by the fact that they wanted all these props to use for nothing. It seemed like more they were just trying to not have to print banner stands for themselves or hire extras. Also, I'm not a big fan of Mr. Wahlberg's, so. I know you've been on movie sets, Brian. I've never been on. Have I ever been on I've been on documentary sets and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever been on a feature while it was filming set. Maybe I have. I don't remember it. I've done prop artwork for movies. There was a horror movie that I did a bunch of designs and poster art for. but I never visited the set, as it were. Now, this is one thing I would also recommend these pens for, and this is for especially for if we've got any young artists on the stream. I know that there have been some that pop in and don't comment. These Kiritaki brush, they call them brush pens. They're not really brush pens. They're more like a felt tip pen, but they have some things that are brush like. And one of them is especially if you're trying to learn how to feather. If you're trying to learn how to feather instead of with a brush, which can be a little nerve-wracking, this feels like a pen, and you can pull. You can't really push, you can pull decent lines. Like, they're not perfect, but they're great practice. Oh, Desiree, you've done movie sets. I don't like Marky Mark. No, I'm not. I'm not a fan of Mr. Wahlberg's. I know Jeff has done extra work, and you've done. Was that for your work as a journalist, or were you doing extra? Were you an actress on those films? What was your story for being on the set? Um, Only one. I don't think the movie was even ever released. At least not yet. It's not. It's not his work as an. Yeah, yeah. I won't go into it, but thanks, Carissa. Yeah, and I sent out the link, and hopefully, some people check out your cool book. And and I didn't mention that you've been making all these cool, like reward things, like plushies and statues and all kinds of crazy stuff, which is very ambitious. And I applaud you for going that extra mile for your hopefully new readers. Desiree says, one of my friends knew an actress on the film, so we were hanging around for a day of filming and got to see um, Milos Forman at work. That's very cool. Oh, it's super cool. It's a gigantic undertaking to put out a book and make a book, and then the Kickstarter is a whole nother gigantic undertaking. So doing more than just the book is just, it's very impressive. So I've actually been wondering if I can get away with doing like just the book for my upcoming projects that I want to take to crowdfunding. If that would be enough to get them to the finish line. All right. Well, I want to. So yeah, let me get my oval template. These are great, again, for any artists out there. This is an oval template, so there's a few different shapes, like fatter ones, skinny ones, like long ones that I use. You can use for speech balloons, and these are not cheap. They can be $20 or so, but they do make the balloons look really good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just don't know if I have the ability to do one of these giant campaigns with all this extra stuff that people do. It's a fulfillment and delivery question because, I don't want to be one of those Kickstarters that gets mentioned first on some people's memorial posts, as it were. Okay. I do want to see how this looks when we pull up the. Sometimes with these uh, tone sketch covers, when you pull up the pencil, it will pull up the ink with it too. It's not bad. It's pulling it off and it's not pulling the ink, so that's a win. So that way I don't have to go back in and redraw all this stuff after I erase it. There are a few sketch covers I've done. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at numbers, and ideally, if I could do like a couple covers of the same book and a sketch variant and like signed versions of the same product and little stuff, I think I could handle that. It's once we get into the bigger stuff that I get a little nervous. My one-man operation sometimes has a hard time just shipping out, one drawing for somebody, let alone piles and piles of things and drawings and books and all that jazz. Excuse me. A little hiccupy. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be really happy if we finish this thing tonight. Looks like we might. Not sure what to do about the background. I definitely need some more contrast, and I think I need something that frames it. So I'm thinking about having some smoke, sponging some smoke around here. And then I'll come back in with some bleed-proof white on the sword and probably like a little here and there on the piece. That was actually one thing that did happen recently that I don't know, the artist, there's an artist who passed away recently who had I guess, a disastrous Kickstarter campaign that people were mentioning basically first after saying that he had passed away. So it's like, oh, that's bad. Didn't know him. I just was taken aback by how that was listed first. I did a post on it for myself over on Twitter, called Notes for Me. I do them from time to time, and they're basically like my little drawing notes for myself that I write. And I just write it on a piece of paper, but I started putting them on Twitter because people kept saying, well, if it works for you, then maybe it'll help somebody else. And my drawing notes for me this past week, and for a little while now, have been use the words cartoon language. And what I mean by that is like cartoon shorthand and like using the tropes and things that we all know as part of making cartoons or comic books or comics. And one of them is identifying different areas of a drawing by a quickly recognizable thing that is the texture of that. And on this one, you'll see there's a couple of examples where, like on the shell, the little swirls, identify that as being a different texture than his skin, than of his front shell, than of the leather here. So, like, of the tape, there's a different texture to that. But just trying to make it quickly recognizable. And one of the things I will do, I'm going to grab a nice very small pen. One of the things that I do like on the turtle is just little circles where it's like they have little turtle freckles almost. Especially in a black and white drawing, it's really important for the viewers to be able to differentiate the different planes and sections instantly. Like they don't have to think, making it easier. We're defining that space as being turtle skin. Not too many. You don't need to coat the whole thing. And that's another thing that I've been pushing back on. And I think Eric Larson used the term to describe an artist that I disagreed with, his application of the term, but I thought that the term was very well put. It is a distraction with busy rather than correct. It's something that I see often where people respond to just super busy drawings and they can see instantly the hours and hours of labor put into that piece. But sometimes, and I know I've done it a million times, is where I'll just spend time drawing the wrong lines from either bad habits I developed when I was younger, which I still have. And I'm sure if you look at this piece, you'll be like, oh, you shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. But I look at it as this is more of a sketch / study than a piece. I wouldn't. have to make a couple of adjustments here. This arm is like creepy long, too large, facing the wrong way based on where the arm is. All right, let me see if I can fix up this hand. All right. Which one? This one? That one. One of the things that I tend to notice, just because I've had to draw it so often, is when someone's holding a sword or a tool of some kind, that rather than actually having it centered like this, like that they're actually holding something, um, I noticed that like the it'll be down here. Like it'll be almost centered over here, or it'll be like, it won't be up against these knuckles here. Like, and the important thing is like if you've ever held a baseball bat, is you keep it out here and it lines up with the knuckles there. It's not really back in the palm here. It's like it's up here. So that's generally one of the things that I notice. Okay, got some more pockets to draw. There's the rest of his belt. Okay. Okay. One of the other good things about the Ninja Turtles that I point out all the time, and this comes back to the designs I was talking about from that earlier series, is that they put tape on basically any difficult thing to draw. So whether it's the fingers or the knee joints or anything like that, they gave you a crutch that you can use. But what I try to do when I'm drawing the turtle hands is I try to use the tape to accentuate those joints instead of hiding those joints. And I put the little, like, almost like Fred Hembeck swirls on the knuckles. Fred's a guy I want to reach out to see if he'll pop on the stream. I haven't talked to he or Lynn in a couple of years now. It'd be really nice to catch up with them. 9:30. It is feeling like it, let me tell you. Long work day today. There's number 2. A little extra on this one. All right, it's coming together. We're getting there. I definitely have like stock pouches that I draw on their belts. Not too many pouches. Eventually, we'll do one. We'll do a turtle that's just like completely 90s out. I'll try to compete with the Jim Lee version that came out from Image. I don't know if you ever saw those. I barely remember them from being, I was the target audience of an age group, and it didn't land with me. So I'll stand up real quick. I know Rob keeps getting himself in trouble with his online persona. It is, yeah. Yeah. listened to a few episodes of his podcast. I mean, he's a charismatic person. I'm sure that's helped him a lot over the years. It's okay for me to mess up a little bit on the interior lines like that, and you'll see why in a minute, because I'm going to actually go in and fill in the cowabunga, and then I'm going to put white around the whole thing. No idea if it's going to work. Never done it before, but just having fun with a study. It's true, Doug, and that's one of those weird things where I found myself in conversations where I'm just like, I'm not a fan really of his stuff, but like, I don't know. It's a strange situation. Yeah, it was something like that. All right, there's my film back. No, none of us noticed it. It's that's because it wasn't really a thing until I've actually just assumed it was something from Wizard Magazine or something like that. No, I agree. I agree. I actually heard an interview with Mike Mignola, and I think it's actually still on YouTube. It was at the Society of Illustrators when he had his exhibit up. He basically said that he invented Hellboy so that he could, and look, I'm sure this is just a fun joke that has evolved as part of the mythos, but he said he invented it basically so had something he could draw that didn't ever require him to draw cars. I just assume that pretty much anymore people are just tracing cars. Like I just assume that that's usually what's going on now. It's either that or you see like the Harvey Kurtzman wheels off the ground. Okay, got that. So now we can erase this a little bit. The one thing that I know is completely unforgiving about these covers, no matter which color it is that if you want to redact something, like if you want to reduce, there's no removing something and then being able to like put more in its way. Like if it's a white cover and I have ink go somewhere I don't want it, I can put white out. I do not have a green paint that can match this, so I have to be a little bit more decisive early on and not rely on those happy accidents to carry me through. Which is making me wonder if I should do sponge or if I should just brush in some smoke. I'm wondering because like I'm looking at the composition and obviously down here we have our big cowabunga. I think that basically the smoke has to occupy this space. So if we have it like this, we can't really have it hit the logos because we can't put anything around them. Gene Colan did draw a crazy sponge. It is high risk, but like if I can pick out basically the edges of what I want, I don't know, maybe I can pull it off. It just adds so much texture. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. Also, these new pills ain't helping. This is just a box cutter, and this is my like big piece of sponge. So I'm going to try to cut a nice small piece and see if we can make this happen. See how it goes. I just think it just adds so much to the piece. It's worth the risk right now, and it's again, nobody's paying me to do this, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I need a bag and board because I don't have any cans or anything on me. I can't look. Look away, Douglas. Look away. Might not happening. That one might be raw. I might have to go grab my ink out of the other room if it's not in here. Is there any in this one? These are all empty. I have to go grab a fresh vial. Give me 2 shakes. This ink is cold because it was by the windowsill. Yeah, it's just going to take a little longer because I got to use a smaller sponge. There was one time I was using a sponge technique on a tiny little panel, and I used a tiny sponge with little what do you call them? Tweezers. Used a tiny sponge with tweezers to get the background. Tiny sponge with tweezers. Well, look, I had this little panel that needed little clouds in it. How else was I gonna get it there, Douglas? I had no other answers in the moment. I was left to my own devices, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut a tiny little sponge. I'm gonna put it on some tweezers. That's what we did. And it worked. Now that's interesting. One of my fingerprints from earlier that there was nothing there just showed up when I put ink over it. It's fascinating. Again, it's just that coated surface, like you mentioned, Doug. Don't always know how it's going to react. All right, now we can go back in because we know where the lettering is going to be. We can finish off these little pieces here. And remember, keeping it recognizable. There we go. I think we need just a little bit more sponge at the top here. I knew this would take just some patience. Hey, thanks very much, Brian. Best of luck with your show prep. I hope everything is going smoothly, and I know you've got some good helpers there. All right, now we get to have some fun with some whiteout. Once we let this dry a little bit, we can start to erase some of it. Trying very hard not to smudge because these color covers are prone to smudging. Now, the reason I drew this line in here was so that I could put my little highlights in there and know where they're supposed to go. Good thing about these Pentel or Presto. Don't want to overdo it, but you know, I'll put a few spots here and there, basically in the foreground elements, and then that'll be pretty much it. Foreground elements, maybe a touch. Now I left room back here because I have to put in the bandana, of course. But all right, remember I was saying I was going to put a bunch of this down here. I'm gonna move this ink that's just sitting here. Now, hey, thanks so much. Very kind of you. Thank you. I'm actually going to be adding more white to it so that it's the black and white contrast. So like this whole thing will be filled in. It's, eventually. What time we got? Oh, it's after 10. Man, I was hoping to get this thing done. I'm going to try to push through, try to get this done. So bear with me if I'm more tired than usual by the time we're at the end of this thing. It's about 2 or 3 years ago that I actually started really focusing more and more on lettering. Um, because like bad lettering can kill a project really quickly, and I at least wanted to be proficient And again, it was a necessity because I had worked on a couple of projects and I just thought the lettering was abhorrent. And I wanted to learn how to not be terrible at it. So I think Klaus Janson did a lettering book for DC Comics. You can pretty much trust anything he wants to put out as far as how-to books. They're really just looking at great letterers whose work I really like. And I know the edges look a little soft on these channels here, but I'm going to be able to tighten those up with, because we've now gone back to black and white, I can go in with a pen and I can tighten those up, get those corners sharper. I can feel the missus from the other room being like, why is he running late tonight? He's still sick. Why is he working late? Truth is, finishing this will make me really happy. Just finishing drawings makes me happy. And talking to you folks makes me happy, so I'm happy to be here. Especially after a tough stretch. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm seeing one other thing I want to do, and I will rewrite red in there, but because the lettering at the bottom is whited out, it just doesn't look right to have that sitting in green. This is actually an instance where a paste up would probably be easier. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough, Desiree. Now, I can promise tomorrow I'm going to wake up and need to tighten up all these edges and flatten the white and all that, like OCD nonsense, but it's not OCD. It's just wanting to do the best I can. Whenever I finish it, like with the other one, I'll just put it on my website. If anybody wants it, they can snag it there. A little bit of erasing to do. I don't think I have any little tiny Sharpies. That's usually what's best for writing on top of this stuff. Oops. Well, sorry for keeping everybody up late, but thank you for spending the evening with me. It has been really a nice thing, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your evenings. Thank you for spending your Wednesday with me, and I hope you had a little fun as we drew my favorite Ninja Turtle, and we got it mostly done, and that I'm really pleased with. I didn't really save room for me to sign it anywhere, I don't think, except for maybe here. I'll probably fill this in with black and sign it here in white or something, but that's how we usually end the stream, so I wanted to sign it, and I hope you have a good night, and hope to see you next week. Thank you all.